Immigration check. Show me ID.
I'm a police lieutenant. My badge is in the glove compartment.
Show me proof that you're legally in this country.
Call my precinct and verify it. I'm complying. I'm not resisting.
You're violating the law.
They had her face pressed against the pavement and still didn't believe her. Think about that for a second. A woman, calm but firm, repeating the same words over and over. I'm a lieutenant. Check my badge. And yet the handcuffs clicked anyway. It was just past 10:40 p.m. when Lieutenant Maya Carter, 38, turned onto a quiet stretch of road on the edge of the city. She had just wrapped up a long shift, nothing unusual, just paperwork, briefings, and the kind of decisions that never leave your mind even after you clock out. She was tired, focused, ready to go home. Then the lights appeared, red and blue, flashing fast. At first, she didn't think much of it, a routine stop. She slowed down, pulled over smoothly, and placed both hands on the steering wheel. Standard procedure, the kind she'd taught younger officers herself. But something felt off. Two officers approached, Officer Tyler Briggs, 27, and Officer Evan Cole, 29. Their steps were quick, their posture tense. No greeting, no explanation, just immediate suspicion. License and registration. Maya nodded calmly. Of course, just so you know, I'm Lieutenant Maya Carter, badge number. Keep your hands where we can see them. That interruption hit differently. Not confusion, not curiosity. Authority, sharp, dismissive. Have you ever tried to explain the truth and realize the other person already decided you're lying? That's exactly what this felt like. Maya moved slowly, carefully reaching for her ID, every motion deliberate, controlled. But before she could even finish, step out of the vehicle, now. The situation escalated in seconds. No verification, no radio check, no attempt to confirm who she was. Just orders, just tension, just assumptions. She stepped out, keeping her voice steady. Officers, I am identifying myself. You need to verify before, turn around. And just like that, the line was crossed. Cold metal snapped around her wrists. People started slowing down. A car rolled past, then another. Someone across the street lifted a phone. Maya didn't resist, didn't raise her voice, but her tone changed. Firmer now, sharper. You're making a mistake. But they didn't stop, didn't hesitate, didn't even question themselves. And as she was pushed down onto the pavement, her cheek against the asphalt, she said something that would come back to haunt every second of what followed. You're not just arresting me, you're exposing yourselves. The officers froze for half a second, just a moment. Then one of them muttered, almost under his breath, yeah, we'll see about that. But here's the question. What happens when the person you just handcuffed is the one who investigates misconduct inside your own department? What happens when authority refuses to recognize itself? Maya sat on the curb, wrists locked behind her back, the cold metal biting just enough to remind her this wasn't a misunderstanding anymore. This was something else, something deeper. Cars rolled past slowly now, not just passing, watching. You could feel the shift. People were noticing. Phones were coming out. And still, no one had checked her badge. Last chance, Maya said, her voice calm but firmer now. Run my name. Call it in. Officer Tyler Briggs barely looked at her. We'll figure it out at the station. Figure it out? That wasn't procedure. That wasn't even close. Officer Evan Cole shifted beside him, glancing briefly at Maya, then back at Briggs. There was hesitation there, a flicker, like part of him knew this wasn't right, but didn't want to say it out loud. Why? Maya picked up on it instantly. You're skipping verification. That's a violation. Briggs scoffed. You can explain that downtown. That word again, downtown, like they'd already decided the outcome. A woman stepped closer from the sidewalk, Angela Brooks, 34, phone raised, recording everything. Why are you arresting her? Angela's voice cut through the tension. Neither officer answered. Instead, Briggs snapped at Angela. Ma'am, step back. But Angela didn't, and that camera didn't move. Now think about this. If everything they were doing was by the book, why avoid the question? Why avoid the camera? Maya leaned slightly forward despite the cuffs. call Captain Daniel Ruiz right now. He'll confirm everything." That name hung in the air. For a second, just a second, Cole looked uncertain again, but Briggs shut it down fast. "We're not calling anyone." Not calling anyone? That wasn't just wrong. That was intentional. The tension thickened. You could almost feel it pressing in from every side, the kind of silence that says something's about to break. Then came the final move. Put her in the car. No charge, no confirmation, no explanation. Just control. Maya was lifted, guided, no, pushed into the back of the patrol car. The door slammed shut with a heavy thud that echoed louder than it should have. Inside, the world went quiet. She leaned back slowly, eyes focused, breathing steady. Not panic, not fear, calculation. "You've just crossed a line you can't uncross," she said quietly, almost to herself. Outside, the officers spoke in low voices, tense, defensive. And then Maya leaned slightly forward, looking through the glass. "Do you even know who you just arrested?" Neither of them answered, but the way they avoided eye contact, that said everything. Because deep down, they were starting to realize they might have made a mistake, just not how big that mistake really was. What started as a simple traffic stop was now walking straight into a storm. The patrol car doors opened, and Maya stepped out into the harsh fluorescent lights of the station, still handcuffed, still treated like a suspect. No one rushing, no urgency to correct anything. Just routine.
But here's the problem. This wasn't routine. "Bring her in," Briggs said, his voice tight now, not as confident as before. Inside, the air felt different, controlled, observant. Officers glanced up from desks, conversation slowing just enough to notice something was off. A lieutenant in cuffs? Maya stood tall despite it. "I want a supervisor," she said, clear and steady. "You'll get one," Cole replied, but even he sounded unsure now. Processing began. Name, fingerprints, questions she had already answered. And then something shifted. At the front desk stood Sergeant Lisa Monroe, 45, experienced, sharp eyes, the kind that catches what others miss. She looked up as Maya's name was spoken. "Carter?" she repeated. Not suspicion, recognition. Monroe stepped closer, her gaze narrowing. "What's the charge?" Briggs jumped in quickly. "Suspicious activity, possible impersonation." Impersonation? That word hung heavy. Monroe didn't respond immediately. Instead, she turned to her terminal and started typing. Click, click, click. The room felt smaller with every keystroke. Then she stopped, froze. Slowly, she looked back at Maya, then at the officers. "Did you verify her badge?" Silence. Briggs crossed his arms. "We had probable cause." "That's not what I asked." The tension snapped tighter. "Did you verify her badge?" Monroe repeated, sharper now. Cole glanced at Briggs. Briggs said nothing. That was answer enough. Monroe's voice dropped, controlled but cutting. "Do you have any idea who this is?" And just like that, everything shifted. Because the truth? Lieutenant Maya Carter wasn't just any officer. She worked directly with internal affairs, handling cases of misconduct, investigating officers who crossed the line, exactly like this. You could feel it ripple through the room, the quiet, the stares, the sudden distance between Briggs, Cole, and everyone else. Monroe moved quickly. "Take those cuffs off, now." They hesitated. That hesitation, it said everything. "Now," she repeated. The cuffs came off. For the first time that night, Maya rubbed her wrists, but her expression didn't change. No anger, no outburst, just focus. "You're free to go," Briggs muttered, avoiding eye contact. Free to go? After all that? Maya didn't move. Instead, she stepped closer to the desk, her voice calm but final. "I want every body cam file secured, every dispatch log, every report filed exactly as it happened." No one spoke. "I'm not asking," she added. And then she turned and walked toward the exit. But just before she reached the door, she pulled out her phone, paused, and made one call. "Yeah," she said quietly. I said quietly, "Start the paperwork." A beat. "I'm filing suit." And just like that, this wasn't internal anymore. This was war. The lawsuit hit like a thunderclap. Suddenly, what had been a private nightmare became public spectacle. Headlines splashed across social media. Black police lieutenant wrongfully arrested by own department. The city was talking. Everyone was asking the same question. How could this happen? How could two officers handcuff a lieutenant in black daylight and call it a routine stop? Weeks passed, and Maya Carter's calm determination never wavered. She watched as body cam footage was released, footage that told a story no one could deny. The video showed the initial stop, her hands clearly visible, her identification offered repeatedly. It showed the officers dismissing her badge, ignoring every protocol she cited, and even turning off a body camera mid-incident. And it captured their whispered comments, mocking her after she was handcuffed, questioning whether anyone would believe her. The room was tense when the internal affairs investigators reviewed the files. Officer Cole's statements started to unravel. He contradicted his own written report, and his nervous glances betrayed what he already knew deep down. The evidence didn't support him. Briggs, on the other hand, doubled down, claiming he felt threatened and that he was just following his instincts. But the truth was undeniable. Dispatch logs confirmed that neither officer ran her plate, verified her badge, or followed a single protocol. Every safeguard designed to protect against this kind of misconduct had been ignored, and the more the evidence piled up, the clearer it became that this wasn't merely a mistake, it was gross negligence, possibly even malice masked as confusion. Then came the final, game-changing piece of evidence, the bystander video. Angela Brooks's footage caught the moments the patrol body cams missed, the subtle glances, the whispered doubts about her credibility, the outright dismissal of Maya's repeated assertions of rank. It confirmed what everyone watching already suspected. This was a systematic breakdown, and the officers had made decisions rooted in bias and arrogance, not law. Maya watched quietly as investigators prepared the case. Her expression remained calm, but the resolve in her eyes was unmistakable. This was about more than her own arrest. It was about accountability. Every single officer watching, every policy on the line, and every citizen relying on law enforcement mattered now. She wasn't seeking revenge. She was demanding justice. And in that quiet, tension-filled moment, she made one final call to her legal team. Make sure every document, every witness, every recording is ready. This will not be ignored. Because the night they handcuffed her was the night she would take control. The courtroom was packed, cameras flashed, every seat seemed filled with anticipation. But Maya Carter, 38, remained composed, calm, focused. She had spent weeks watching her life dissected, her reputation questioned, and yet she stood there without anger, only determination. The evidence had been laid bare, the narrative was clear, there could be no ambiguity. The bystander video played first. Angela Brooks's footage revealed every critical moment the patrol body cams missed, the subtle glances, the whispered doubts about her credibility, the outright dismissal of Maya's repeated assertions of rank. It confirmed what everyone watching already suspected. This was a systematic breakdown, and the officers had made decisions rooted in bias and arrogance, not law. The officers, Briggs and Cole, sat stiffly, their confidence gone. Briggs's repeated claims of feeling threatened sounded hollow against the mountain of evidence. Cole's contradictions made him appear unreliable and untrustworthy. Witnesses were called, experts testified, every piece fit together like a puzzle, leaving no room for doubt. Finally, the jury deliberated, and when the verdict came, unanimous, justice was clear. Maya had been unlawfully detained, officer misconduct was confirmed, the department's failures had caused harm, and the responsible officers would face consequences. Briggs was terminated and faced civil penalties. Cole resigned, acknowledging his part in the misconduct. The department issued a public apology and overhauled protocols for badge verification, body cam usage, and internal accountability. Sergeant Lisa Monroe, who had acted with integrity, was commended for her vigilance. Emotionally, the courtroom released a tension that had been building for weeks. Maya exhaled deeply. Relief, vindication, and the quiet satisfaction of justice washed over her. She hadn't sought humiliation or revenge. She had demanded responsibility. And in that quiet, tension-filled moment, she made one final call to her legal team.
Make sure every document, every witness, every recording is ready. This will not be ignored, because the night they handcuffed her was the night she would take control. Maya returned to duty with renewed purpose, but she was different now, not just a lieutenant enforcing rules, but a leader shaping them, guiding the department towards integrity. Passing a group of recruits in training, she paused and said with authority, "Authority isn't power, it's responsibility. Don't forget that." The night she was handcuffed was a turning point, not just for her, but for the department, the officers, and the community. What began as a shocking injustice became a story of accountability, courage, and lasting change. And for Mai Carter, justice wasn't just a word, it was a reality she had created.